Alrighty, Josh Root from East West Healing Performance. Today I want to talk about hair loss. And I want to talk about hair loss in men, and I want to talk about hair loss in women. Because nowadays we're seeing women with thinning hair. You're seeing it on your brush, you're seeing it in the sink, you're seeing it on the bathroom floor. Men, they're getting bald much younger. On and on and on and on and on and on and on. Now, what's the scenario? Of course it's different for everyone. The key is to figure out why you or the person in front of you, if you're a practitioner, is getting hair loss. You don't want to treat the symptoms. Rogaine, all that crap is just shit. It doesn't work. It's superficial. It's putting a Band-Aid over it. You have to look within the body because of some sort of stress. Now, the first thing you need to do is, well, let me get to actually maybe some of the causes, then I'll go what to do. The causes, in my opinion, are actually quite correlated, and it's really to say which one is which because they're all correlated. So when we look at the body, there's many things that can cause hair loss. The first thing that most people don't look at is actually a hydrochloric acid deficiency in the stomach. HCl helps you break down the initial food that you eat. Besides being broken down in the mouth by saliva, when it hits the stomach, the proteins, everything that you eat is actually broken down, absorbed, and assimilated, shunted to the cells in your body, absorbed in the small intestine, so you can actually absorb nutrients, minerals, vitamins. This is essential for hair growth. So what we see in most people that are hypochlorhydric or decreased hydrochloric acid in the stomach, they end up with hair loss. Now, how do you know? I'll go into that. Well, most people, as I've done in many of my videos on gastritis, H. pylori, most people have hydrochloric acid deficiencies from inflammation in the stomach, overuse of prescription medication, eating crappy American food that's riddled with toxins and additives and preservatives. Just read the labels. You can see the stuff. It's actually void of nutrients. So maybe that's another thing. Maybe you're actually not HCl deficient. Maybe you're actually not even eating foods that have nutrients in them. Foods from Mother Earth and things like that. If it's boxed, canned, wrapped, and has, things on the label that you can't pronounce, you shouldn't be eating it. Your body's not going to like it. So HCl deficiency is the first thing that can cause hair loss because of basically malabsorption issues. The second thing is, we could go to the small intestine. A small intestine dysfunction. This could be from a parasite like Cryptosporidium. I've done a YouTube on that. It could be from just malabsorptive issues from irritants like I talked about in foods, from medications. The bottom line is most of the food that you absorb in your body is absorbed in the small intestine. Sugars, carbohydrates, proteins. So if you have an issue in the small intestine, as well as maybe a pancreatic insufficiency, you're not releasing enough pancreatic enzymes to break down foods, you could actually end up with hair loss. So that's the first thing, or second thing we could say. Second thing, they kind of all go together. We could say it's a thyroid issue, estrogen dominance, and excess androgens in the body. We're talking about like testosterone, DHEA, things like that. The bottom line is with the thyroid, let's not get into the technicality of it, but the bottom line is the thyroid in a sense actually helps to regulate the metabolism. And when the body actually slows down, I'll go into why, the temperature drops, and this actually suffocates the hair follicles, so the hair follicles will fall out, and that's why you see hair thinning or hair falling out. What do the adrenal glands have to do with this? Excess cortisol, excess DHEA. When the body's super stressed, just in the general sense, starting out when the body is super stressed, it starts to increase cortisol, cholesterol production, so you can actually produce these steroidal hormones. And when these steroidal hormones get high, they actually are very catabolic. They break down tissue. They actually suffocate the hair follicles. They actually inhibit the enzymes that cause hair follicle growth, and that'll actually cause your hair to fall out. Excess estrogen production from plastics, stress. Hans Selye showed, and he was the guy who coined the term kind of like stress in a sense, that when the body's stressed, he showed that actually estrogen goes up. Now, we're getting it from plastics nowadays. We're getting it from the pill. We're getting it from many things in our environment. We're getting it from water. We're getting it from hygiene products. So if you're estrogen dominant, meaning you have actually too much estrogen in the body, that'll actually cause the body to overproduce insulin. It'll cause the body to overproduce DHEA. It'll cause the body as well to overproduce cortisol. And all those things actually inhibit hair follicles from growing. And you see this in men as well. We do tests all the time, and they actually have high estrogen levels. So if we look at all these things, I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting something in regards to hair loss. We've got the thyroid, HCl deficiency, stomach, adrenals, and stress. The bottom line is, where does it come from? Think about your body as a car, right? You're pushing your car, you're hitting the pedal to the metal, and you just keep going, and you're not listening to your body, the car, and the engine's on red, the RPMs are on red. If you're always eating crappy foods, caffeine, refined processed foods, aspartame, pasteurized milk, that's crap. Things that are wrapped, boxed, canned, things with tons of sugar, things with tons of chemicals that you can't even pronounce. You're going to bed late at night, you're getting up early, you're not sleeping well. What else? You have tons of emotional stress, financial stress, chemical stress in your environment, physical stress. You're not working out. Are you working out too much? On and on and on. There's many different stressors, and the bottom line is this hair loss comes from a stress. That's the root of it all. You just have to figure out what your stressors are and adapt to them. So when the body's stressed in a sense, and you keep pushing the pedal to the metal and you don't adapt to it, the body starts releasing these hormones to fight inflammation, regulate blood sugar, regulate blood pressure. The bottom line is everything speeds up. And in order to preserve the body, cortisol goes up, adrenaline goes up, norepinephrine, epinephrine, DHEA. A lot of times testosterone will go up, melatonin will go up, prolactin will go up, estrogen will go up. And if you're actually eating a lot of sugar, that creates that the ovaries and will actually overproduce specific androgens, and you'll actually start overproducing DHEA, androstenedione, testosterone, and things like that as well. So diet is a huge part. But at the same time, those things, excess DHEA, cortisol, and estrogen, actually inhibit T4 to T3 conversion. So what happens is twofold. You're pushing the pedal to the metal. You're not listening to your body. So the thyroid regulates the metabolism of the speed of your body. So now you're having inhibition of T4 to T3. So right there, you're getting dinged with hair loss. But at the same time, the thyroid puts on the emergency brake to slow things down to preserve what's left in the body. So now the temperature drops, stars the hair follicles again, and you have the scenario of hair loss. So it's kind of a cascade of effects. Now the question is, you have to find out what's whipping your adrenal glands, what's causing this stress. You have to find out what's inhibiting the thyroid, because I've talked about that before. It could be excess estrogen, it could be mercury, it could be cadmium, it could be lead, it could be soy, it could be excess DHEA, cortisol, things like that. You have to find out what's stressing your gut out. You have to find out what's causing a hormone imbalance. So what do? Well, the first thing is work with a practitioner. I'm sorry, you can't do this on your own. You have to be individually assessed to see where the stresses are in your life. Physical, mental, emotional, chemical, nutritional, electromagnetic, on and on and on. In order to create a plan to adapt to these stressors. Because that's the root of the issue. If you just do labs and take hormones, you're not getting to the root of the issue. Yeah, I mean, you might be focusing on some of the issue itself, the dysfunction. We have to find out what's whipping those systems. So labs are important, but you got to create a foundation first with good, proper nutrition. Food from Mother Earth. Food without chemicals. Getting a good night's sleep. Most of your body is actually repairing at night. That's when your immune system is most active, and that's when you repair. Eliminating things in your environment, in your food, internally and externally, that actually block T4 to T3 conversion, that are basically creating GI dysfunctions, that are whipping the adrenals. So you need to eliminate all these things. And then, and only then, once you've created that foundation, right, eliminating sodas, soy, hygiene products, all these things are what we call blocking factors. Once you eliminate those and adapt to them, then you might want to think about doing a lab. Now, what labs do you do? I recommend looking at the GI system. Most of these labs I do not recommend, unfortunately, from my point of view, going to your doctor. You want to go to a health care practitioner that uses biohealth, metametrics, diagnostics, doctor's data, Great Smokies Lab, ZRT, all these different lab companies. You can go through us. You can go through a local practitioner. You can go through the lab directly. The payments are paid directly to the lab. But the bottom line is you need to look at the GI system, do a full comprehensive GI panel. Not only looking for just pathogens like parasites and bacteria and fungus, but you need to see if there's enough good bacteria in there. You need to see the immunology. You need to see if there's inflammation. You need to see the digestive and absorptive part in regards to the small intestine, the large intestine, the liver, gallbladder, and the pancreas. You need to see the function and dysfunction. So you need to see everything. We call it a GIFX, or a comprehensive GI panel. Second thing you need to do is you actually need to get a full hormone panel done, an adrenal hormone panel. Now, you can go through biohealth or ZRT, but you want to get a full panel looking at the cortisol readings during the day. You want to look at DHEA. You want to look at estradiol, testosterone, melatonin, and progesterone. You want to look at these things via saliva, because that's where most of the tissues are not bound to a protein. So you actually get a good reading of what's actually in there, not blood, because in the blood, the hormones are actually bound to protein, so you're not going to get a good reading of what's bioavailable to the body. So you want to see that via saliva. Then from there, you want to get a full thyroid panel. Now, a lot of doctors test TSH. That's about as useless as tits on a donkey. And, well, it could be useful for some people, maybe, if you're in Mexico. But just TSH, you're not really looking at why you're getting excess TSH production with hypothyroidism. So you have to look at free T4, free T3, T3 uptake, T4, TPO, and TSH. Full thyroid panel to see what's going on. Is there a blocking conversion? Is that what's causing the TSH? Is it a pituitary issue? a hypothalamus issue. A lot of the time, the adrenal glands are actually creating the hypothyroidism, the thyroid to slow down. So that's why you want to look at both. I think that's it in regards to labs. You can look for HCl deficiency. The hard thing is you can do a gastric string test where you kind of swallow a pH strip on a string and then you pull it back out and it tell you the pH of the stomach. It's a little expensive for some people. A lot of people don't like it. So what we do is you can look at MCV levels on a blood lab. That'll tell you if they're maybe hypochlorhydric. You can look at albumin levels. At the same time, because zinc and thiamine are precursors to HCl, what I usually do is a zinc tally test. Basically, you get liquid zinc from Designs for Health. It's called Zinc Challenge. And it's actually liquid zinc in a bottle. And you put it in your mouth. If you taste heavy metallic like isopropyl alcohol, then you're not zinc deficient. If it tastes slightly metallic, then you're moderately zinc deficient. If it tastes like water, then you're highly zinc deficient. And we kind of go with an assumption that you're actually hypochlorhydric or decreased hydrochloric acid. And a lot of times, if you have pancreatic insufficiencies and things like that, it's a cascade of effects from above, meaning a hydrochloric acid deficiency that's creating it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this clip. I know it's a lot to take in, but the bottom line is you have to look at your stressors, adapt them, create a foundation, because it's all those things that are causing excess DHEA, excess cortisol, excess androgens, excess estrogen, prolactin, blocking T4, T3 conversion, on and on and on. It's all these things that are whipping the system. So you want to create a foundation, then do the labs to see what's going on. Now that you've created a foundation, you can use the bioidentical hormones. You can use the right herbal treatments or go to an osteopath if needed to get some type of thyroid medication for short term. But the bottom line is if you do the create a foundation first and then you go to do the labs and you have to take herbs, you'll actually have to be on them a lot less amount of time because now you've created a foundation and the body's actually going to do the work. The nature's going to basically do all the work for you. So hopefully you've enjoyed this clip. It's Friday. I'm out of here. Peace out.